So, welcome back to Throwback Thursday. For anyone new to the channel, I play games for the storytelling and challenge, which generally means taking my time, trying to stay thematic, and avoiding exploits. If you prefer min-maxing or speeding through content, then my stuff may not be for you, although you're welcome to join us for a while to find out. Now, Oxygen Not Included is a game I played a few years back, but not really enough to get good at it. I understand it's gone through quite a few updates in the intervening time, and I'm pretty curious what it's like now. For anyone unfamiliar with this game, and for all of you old enough to remember what an ant farm is, this game feels like the digital manifestation of an ant farm. Well, maybe not exactly. It would if ants built showers and toilets and heavy machinery and decontamination chambers. It's a base builder with a side view rather than a top-down one, and it's great fun and super chill for days when you're in the mood for a sandbox game that pushes your brain to think but doesn't involve fighting all the time. But I like to play this game differently than just about anyone would advise. I'm going to set all of the difficulties to their highest setting, which is nothing out of the ordinary. Then, as we get to the selection of our duplicants, lovingly called dupes, and we'll get to this in a minute, any sane individual would use these settings to pick their starting team of 3 with complementary abilities, strengths, and interests. Also, every dupe has some inherent flaw, and these are truly imbalanced. Some are fairly easy to work around, while others are terrible. You can simply click through this like if it were Tinder, or so I'm told. I'm not nearly cool enough for Tinder. And make sure you avoid dupes that would be very problematic for your game. All of which is a big lead up to say that the way I play this game, that is the most immersive and fun way to play for me, is to just immediately accept the 3 random starting dupes the game offers and do the best you can with them. So no min-maxing here, we'll just work around the problems that this mix gives us, and trust me, it's going to give us quite a few. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so we start out here in the middle of an asteroid, I guess it is, and I think the basic gist of the storyline is that we were supposed to be created or teleported, or exactly how these dupes got here, I don't remember. Let me go ahead and pause the game here while I'm mentioning this. So we're in the middle of the asteroid, whereas we thought we were going to come out on the surface, I think, if memory serves. And just really quickly, what we need to do is survive, and I think eventually work our way up towards the surface. Now, as you can see, we can only see a little bitty bit of our asteroid right now. This is our ant farm right here, but all of the earth that we can dig through, and all the different terrain types, and all of the different materials and biomes and everything, it's much larger than what we can see right now. There are different temperatures at different parts of this asteroid. Temperature, I remember, being a really big deal, particularly when it gets too hot. So, for example, this up here we can see is incredibly hot. This down here is incredibly hot. For the at least early part of the game, we want to avoid the really hot areas because heat can cause your plants to stop growing. I think that's the main source of food that we're going to be sticking with. So we also obviously need water, and we need water not just for drinking purposes, but we need it for things like plumbing and, well, we won't get into the specifics of all of the biological functions that our dupes need water for, but cleaning their hands after various activities. So, all right, anyway, I'm not going to go through these tutorials. If anybody is super interested in the basics of Oxygen Not Included, then I'd be happy to do a separate video where I talk about a little bit of it, but I'm just going to assume that the only people who would even be watching this video are people who already have at least a basic knowledge of the game, and it would take forever for me to start doing a tutorial of it. So we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm actually not going to dig these 2 tiles right there just yet, because otherwise the water would spill out and get everywhere. However, let me think for a second here. While they're digging, what is going to be a good place? How far can we go in this direction and still be cold? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go pretty far in this direction here. We're going to build ourselves a bathroom, sort of a temporary bathroom. And the way we do that is at the very beginning of the game, we're just going to do a couple of wash basins. There are later on much better versions of these wash basins, namely sinks, but you have to have plumbing and plenty of water, etc., in order to be able to get those working. We'll build some outhouses as well, and later on we will replace those with actual flushable toilets, like plumbed toilets, I guess I should say. And then what we want to do is we want to kind of seal this in with a doorway so that we form what is known as a washroom, which would give us a very slight morale boost. Now, these three tiles right here are all going to... These are sand, and sand collapses due to physics when the tiles below them are dug out because of this thing called gravity. And in my opinion, Oxygen Not Included should be a game that is mandatory curriculum for, let's say, high school chemistry and physics classes. It just does a great job at making you really think about the real world application of these things. So we're gonna continue with our bathroom building here in a moment, but we also want to start thinking about beds, our cots. So we have 3 dupes right now. They're just going to have to sleep out in the open for the first night or 2, but we want to start thinking then about a bedroom for them, sort of a barracks, I guess would be the way to say it. Let's go ahead and dig out some of this stuff over here. And where is it? It's a pitcher pump that we want to put right here, just to be able to access this water. Actually, this right here, we don't have to worry about digging any of this out just yet. Pitcher pump right there will be fine for the time being. And then we also want to start thinking about how are we going to move upward and downward in this game. We want to stick to where it's relatively cool for now. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to build a ladder over here on this side upward for now. That will work for now. We want to go ahead and build a little bit of one space on each side of the ladder. Now I'm doing this based on, let me see here, building a pitcher pump from plumbing tab. Okay, that's fine. So we got our pitcher pump now. That lets us get water, which lets us go over here and add the water to these wash basins. We want the wash basins to basically tell people to only force them to wash their hands when they're moving in this direction. We're not currently allowing them to go anywhere in this direction other than to use the outhouses. So basically what this is saying is if you have germs on your hands when you're headed in this direction, you have to stop and use these wash basins. The only time for the most part that will be the case is when they use these toilets. All right, so now we're going to have our long-term, I think what we're going to do for this is we're going to long-term have our living and maybe recreational facilities above us, and we're going to have our working, what's our colony achievement here? We got bed and bath. Okay, have at least 1 toilet in the colony and a bed for every duplicate. Okay, so that's what we have here with our cot and our toilet. So we're going to have recreational and living type facilities up here. We're going to have our working facilities down below for the most part. There may end up being exceptions to that. But for now, we'll plan on putting our bedrooms, our barracks, I should say, over in this area. And maybe we'll have like our mess hall over on this side. So normally I think it makes sense to build 4 high for each level. So we're going to go ahead and plan on doing that for now. So we're going to have one level right here. We'll have another level that then starts right here, which means we can go ahead and dig out that. We can dig out all this. And we will replace these right here. Call this, you know, sort of OCD, a little bit of obsessive compulsiveness on my side, on my part. But I tend to let these oxalates, which are slowly leaking oxygen into our base, I tend to let them just do that at their own speed. I believe if you do dig them up, they'll just release it all at one time. Don't really know that there's any advantage to doing one way or the other. I'm absolutely not an expert at this game. I just find it kind of fun and super chill, and a nice change of pace from games that require lots and lots of combat all the time. And I am mildly curious to see how much it's changed since I last played. It's been a little while. For example, I don't think those difficulty settings, maybe I'm just misremembering, but I think the difficulty settings that I chose weren't there before when I played. So that's obviously something that's new, and I didn't really do any real examination to see exactly what they do. I just knew I wanted to make them quite difficult. I'm going to end up probably moving this pitcher pump, so I'm not going to start this level over here just yet until I get that out of the way. Now, this up here is going to end up becoming our mess hall. How much time? You know what I just realized I need to do? See, it has been a long time since I've done this. So we have these 3 dupes. I haven't even really looked at what their skills and interests and all that stuff is. So we've got Frankie here, who is skilled with excavation, skilled with carrying things, skilled with agriculture, and skilled with dealing with critters, husbandry, and that's it. But more importantly, I want to see what his, where do I see what his interests are? Personal interests, supplying, ranching, farm. Okay, so this is actually good. He actually has interests that match up with some of his skills. His weakness was bottomless stomach, so he actually consumes more calories than a normal duplicant does, which I believe is 1,000 per day. But since we changed the settings, it could very well be more than that. So we'll find out as we move forward. Now, we are not playing on the most difficult of all the different asteroids. In fact, we're playing on the vanilla version of the asteroids, kind of to refamiliarize myself with the game. So I don't expect to have a massive problem from a food perspective, but the game might surprise me. I really don't know. So Frankie then is going to be Frankie the farmer. And Frankie the farmer is going to, if we look up here at his priorities, oh yeah, I forgot how many of these there are. Okay, so we want, in terms of attacking, we'll worry about attacking later. We want everybody to be able to toggle. Toggle is a high priority. Everybody should be able to do that. Doctoring is just something that we'll only have our assigned doctor do. Tidying is something that we may allow everyone to do. Cooking is not something that we want everybody to do. Decorating the same, researching the same, operating is okay. So here we go, farming. So farming is going to be, we'll leave it at standard priority except for Frankie the farmer, who it's a high priority for. And who knows, it might actually be that Pei here is going to want to do some farming as well, but we'll find out when we get to her. Ranching is also something that we will allow. Let's do this. It's disallowed for everyone except for Frankie the farmer. Then building is something everyone can do. Digging is something everyone can do. Supplying and storing, that's fine for now. Okay, so we got Frankie the farmer. We have him focusing on farming activities, but if there are no farming activities to do, he can do lots of other things. All right, let's move on to the second one here. Let's go ahead and do Pei since we're talking about her. And Pei is interested in supplying, farming, and digging. Okay, so this is interesting. There's a lot of overlap here, and this is going to happen when you're not careful about using your dupes, like I wasn't. you're going to end up having overlap. But we already have somebody who's going to focus on farming for us. So we'll look at a little bit more into the supplying and the digging side for her. And what she's best at is actually machinery, but she doesn't have an interest in it. So we'll let her do some machinery activities, but digging, I think, is going to be the priority for her. That way we match up her skill with her interest. So let's go in here into priorities, and let's make pay focus primarily on digging. So that's her number one priority. If there are no digging activities to do, she can do any of these other things, and we'll go ahead and give her a very slight preference for operating machinery. Then, and I just want to take a look real quick here at what her traits are. She is a okay, so there's why she has the machinery ability. It's because she's a grease monkey. Biohazardous. Okay, so she is actually very resistant to diseases. Okay, then we have where's our third one here? Frankie the Farm. Oh, and I need to give her a name. So she is cleverly named Pay the Digger. Okay. It takes me a very long time to come up with these very, very clever names. And then we have Joshua. And Joshua is biohazardous as well. Okay, so he also has a weakness to disease. And his skills are... Ooh, there's medicine. So he's going to be a doctor. He's also good at digging. Let's see what he's interested in most. He's interested in doctoring. He's interested in operating machinery and digging. So again, lot of overlap. So what that means is we'll make him the doctor. But because doctoring duties are a very small part of his time, so he's going to be Joshua the Doc. That means he is going to have lots of time to work on other things. So he is going to be the only one who is allowed to do any doctoring activities, but we'll also have him, at least for now, be able to do, well, he can obviously already do lots of other things. What's his strength? His strength is 0. So he's not really the best at carrying things. We'll make him our primary attacker, and we will also, for now, boy, he's not really great at anything that somebody else isn't already really working on. We'll figure out an extra duty for him later on. May end up having to assign him a role that he's not thrilled with, but hey, such is life. That's what happens when you are absolutely non-selective when you build your dupes. And then because he will be less interested in an activity, that means he'll start to suffer morale problems if we level him up too much in that particular skill that he's not interested in. Now, did we get any... We need copper. So we need copper to be able to build a door here. It's just not going to happen this cycle because it's bedtime for everybody. It's, I guess, dinner and bedtime. But while they're doing their dinner and bedtime activities and using the bathrooms, then we can go ahead and start planning what we're going to do in the next day. There's a little bit more work to finish up here. Up here, this is really low priority stuff over here. I just did that to have them doing something. What we really need to prioritize is research. And normally I would also say cooking, but since we actually don't have any cooks, cooking is not going to be a high priority at this point. We'll have cooks later on. We'll get more dupes when they get created by this machine, which used to be every 3 cycles. I assume it still is. And we're going to go, let's go ahead and speed this up a little bit because we have lots of things already assigned for tomorrow, so I don't need to plan really, really carefully at this point. We're just going to go ahead and I think kill any of these. I'm surprised I remember the hotkey for attacking and for speeding up. We're going to go ahead and kill those, what are these things called? Nymph something? Shine bugs, not nymph bugs. Shine bugs. Maybe there's a variation called nymph bug. But anyway, these things are annoying as anything. It's nice at first glance because they provide light, but on second glance, they get in your bedroom and they make you have a bad night's sleep, and we don't like that. So we're just going to kill them. And we'll go ahead and build a floor over here because why not? Get that room prepared for semi-permanent status. That's going to be our bathroom for a very long time. Now, these dupes can jump one space. So they can jump from this ladder over to a tile here. They can't jump 2 spaces horizontally. So that's why I'm building my floors 1 away from the ladders. I will want to later on build something, I forget what they're called, fire pole. I want to build a fire pole alongside the ladder, which will allow them to go down, but not up, much faster than they do with just using the ladder. Let's go ahead and maybe make... Let me think about this. Let's go ahead and make this a barracks right over here. So this is going to be our first barracks. I think it's called barracks. It's called barracks, yes. And for a barracks, we just need 1 or more beds, no industrial machinery, has to be at least 12 tiles and not bigger than 64 tiles. Okay, got it. So it has to also be sealed in, so that means there has to be a door. Whether that door is permanently open or not doesn't matter, it just has to be there. And the same thing for this bathroom here. So this then, we'll go ahead and put our cots in here. Go ahead and build 4 of them, so we'll make that barracks chamber big enough for 4 dupes, because it won't be long before we're going to want to add another one, hopefully a cook. And also a researcher would be really nice. In fact, the researcher is a higher priority than the cook. So, go ahead and plan on 1, 2, 3, 4, having 4 tiles here. In between these levels, we'll just clear out all of this. Clear out that as well. Copper is extremely valuable, particularly in the early game. I think this is new, actually, this resource panel here. Yeah, we want to keep track of coal. I don't know, maybe I used this before. But this is nice because we can keep track of the things that are really much more valuable and scarce materials here. That's good for now. So we'll keep track of these 3 things. I'm not exactly sure what our diagnostics checks. Alright, so now we have... Let's open up this door. It's faster for them to go in and out through doors that are permanently open. And the reason why we killed those shine bugs is because with these doors permanently open, the shine bugs would fly right in. We could leave the doors closed, and that would keep the shine bugs out, but at the same time, it would make it slower for our dupes to get in and out of these doors. And speed really becomes an important factor in an efficient base. Now that we have our cots built up here, we can go ahead and delete these. And we can see here we have a barracks. And over here we have a washroom. So our dupes are going to get morale bonuses for days, for cycles, I should say, when they go into these rooms. And because these are rooms that are literally used every single day, they will get a little bit of a morale boost every single day. So that's what we want. And in particular, while everything else is such a mess, we don't have any like nice decorations or anything up, the little bit of morale boost that they get from these specialized buildings is important. So hopefully you can kind of all get the sense now of what I mean by this seeming like an ant farm, except our dupes are obviously capable of way more than farms ever were. I'm sorry, than ants ever were. Pick the right words, Michael. Okay, and now we while they're... I'm going to slow it back down for a moment here. Because because I need to think through. I need to set all of our plants in the areas to harvest, so Y is the hotkey for that. I don't really know of any reason to not just say go ahead and harvest every plant that you come across. Plants are reproducing sources of food in this game, and at least in the early going, we have a little bit of food that we started with here in this ration box. We can see that we have some nutrient bars and we have some muck roots. Those two food items add up to 16,000 kilocalories worth of food. It's not going to take us very long to burn through all that, so we have to have reproducible food sources, and that's why this warning message here is saying that the colony requires a food source. So we can get that through several different methods. One of them is by harvesting these plants. So not all of them, but things like this mealwood plant will give us food. The things here, these bristle blossoms, they require light in order to grow, and since we've already killed off the shine bugs, they're not going to get any light unless we provide it to them via another mechanism. So we're going to go ahead and dig up all of the... We're going to go ahead and set all of these naturally occurring versions of the bristle blossoms. Dig those up, and we will be creating, in fact, maybe right here or maybe headed in this direction if we have a little bit of room over on this side. We have a nice natural gas geyser that'll come in handy later on. Let's go ahead and plan on putting some 1, 2, 3, 4 and there. Let's go ahead and plan on putting some plants over on this side. 4 right here. This one might be temporary. We might have a better use for this real estate right here, but at least in the early going, there's nothing stopping us from using it for our plants. And that one will be good. Okay. And now really the priority has to be a research station. So research station right here is good. Now, in order to be able to use a research station, it requires electricity. And electricity requires a generator of some type or another. So duplicate temperature. Somebody got hot or cold. Not that it's particularly a danger. Why are you standing still? Okay. So we're building a hamster wheel, essentially. This is called a manual generator. And then we built a copper wire connecting it to our research station. That's actually not what I want to do just yet. I want to cancel this wire, cancel the build of that wire, because what we really want is a battery. We want to charge up a battery first, and then we will run the research station off of the battery. Now, the reason I built the battery over here is I want to save this room over here for our permanent batteries. This is a starter battery that I do not plan on keeping for very long. Okay, and I'm going to pause it right there for just a second. And I think the first technology that we'll research will be the one that allows us to build a better battery. So literally, this will be very short-lived indeed. And it's probably worth mentioning at this point, I talked in the intro about the different quirkiness of our different dupes that we were not at all careful about. Obviously, we've already seen that play out somewhat with the skills that we've assigned them, and believe me, this is highly suboptimal to not have a researcher in your starting group. We're going to have to, that means we're going to have to go in and allow somebody to do some researching. Are any of these people better than any others at researching? If I can find it here, it looks like science. Yeah, science 0, science 0, science 0. So none of them are any smarter than the others. So let's go ahead and for now make our dock, Joshua the dock, He is our researcher. We're going to make it a high priority for him until we get an actual dupe who is good at researching. Okay. And then the other thing is we won't really see their weaknesses. Well, actually, no, we are already seeing their weaknesses come into play for the one who is consuming additional calories than what we have available to us. We are, here in the very beginning, occasionally finding other sources of food that we're adding to our ration box, but trust me, that does not last very long. We need a source of food very soon. That source of food will actually be, for starters, in the very early going, it's going to be this microbe musher. Trapped. Okay, so this is a problem right here, as we can see. We have Pay the digger here cannot jump across 2 open tiles, and she dug herself into an impossible situation. That's no problem. All we have to do is select either one of these 2 tiles, and we have to say this is the absolute top priority of the entire base to get that built. And then somebody who is within reach of sandstone will hurry up and run up here and deliver the materials to build it, and then she or he will go ahead and actually build it. So let's watch this in action. Let's see how effective our dupes are. You can see right here, Frankie the farmer immediately delivering the sandstone required to build it, and then sure enough, Pay herself, boom, she built it. She's no longer trapped. Okay, very easy situation to get out of that time. Believe me, there are plenty of times where these dupes get themselves into serious problems that are much, much more difficult to get out of. Now, new printables are available. So if we click on this and we choose a blueprint and we cross our fingers, here we go. Okay, look at this. We got 2 different dupes who could be extremely useful to us. They both have really, really problematic weaknesses. I don't like either one of these, but that's kind of what we signed up for, is weaknesses are just going to be a part of this playthrough. So I think between the 2 of these, I'm going to go with Ashcan. I'm going to go ahead and name him Ashcan. The lowercase, let's be consistent with all of our dupes here. The scientist, and Ashcan the scientist is going to be the dupe that we take. This anemic, this means he's going to be running around 50% run speed. Really, really slow. So what we're going to do with that is, let's go ahead and select him and print him. And we are going to, he will automatically choose this unassigned cot to be his, so that's good. We're going to have to start a new schedule because too many dupes at the same schedule are going to end up interfering with each other, conflicting with the use of the toilets and the sinks. So let's go ahead and do that now. And we'll call this the night shift. And the night shift might as well be as efficient as possible. We'll have it start the day at exactly the point that we're at right now, which means the bath time will be right before now. The bedtime will be 1, 2, 3 before that. And then the downtime will be 2 before that. And we're going to go ahead and assign Ashcan the scientist to this. And then we're also going to even out our distribution of dupes between the different shifts. It will be suboptimal for 1 cycle, but after that it'll be fine. We're going to go ahead and move Joshua the doc to this night shift as well. So he's going to work for only a little bit, and then he's going to go ahead and go back to bed. And that's fine. And then Joshua the doc, when we look at his priorities, we can now remove his researching, and he can go back to just doing whatever. And we're going to take a look here at Ashcan the scientist. We want him to not be doing low priority for things like tidying and storing and supplying. He'll still do them some if there's nothing else to do, but because he's so slow. Actually, you know what? Digging is probably going to be even worse. Let's lower his digging. We don't want him digging because digging tends to happen around the perimeter. So we want him building things inside our base and tidying things inside our base, preferably because that is going to require less running around, I think. And then researching, we obviously want to make that the priority. So he's going to spend almost all of his time down here, which is fine. If we can limit his running around to just from here to here to here to here, that's good. The run speed is still going to be problematic, but it will be at least mitigated somewhat. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and... Yeah, I was afraid of that. Okay, dig yourself out from this little problem that you've dug yourself into there, Pay. And what was I going to do? I'm going to prioritize the research station, the building of the research station, the building of this generator. Battery's already built, the wire is already partially built. But we want to get research going here as soon as possible. Invalid construction location. What's that from? Somewhere. Oh, that's all it is. That's just they dug out those tiles but didn't replace them. Has to be a flat surface for these structures to be built on. And now we have Frankie the farmer here running the machinery, filling up the charge of this battery, and then we can now go ahead and, I think, connect the wires to our different pieces of equipment that require it. Okay, making some progress now. Very, very soon here we'll actually be able to start our research, and then once we have a cook, we'll actually be able to start doing some cooking. And we can see up here we've got a meal wood that is ready to harvest, but what we don't have is any way to get up there. So we need a way to get up there. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this. We'll dig out this. This right here is a bluff briar. This is a good decorative plant. We will find a better use for it down in our base later. So we'll dig this up and we will go ahead and build a ladder here that'll let us get up there and harvest that plant. Okay, and I think we're doing okay. We got to now assign some research. So what we want, I mentioned, is a better battery. That's this power regulation that will allow us to build a jumbo battery. Eventually, we're going to also want coal generators so that we're not hamsters on wheels generating electricity, but we have a more mechanized automatic way to do it. We'll burn our coal in order to produce electricity, but that's not the next highest priority. The next highest priority for us, I think, is going to be some basic farming here to be able to create these planter boxes, which will then allow us to... How do I get out off of this screen? If I click on that, that'll do it. Okay, so planter boxes will allow us to just put some plants around and start growing our food. Once we have our food grown, we can then, in some cases, take some of those plants and put them into this microbe musher in order to produce slightly better food. It's all going to be rubbish in the early going, but there are incremental improvements that we can do to our food. And let's just see here. Look at how slow he is. Oh my goodness. But at least he's not too far away from getting up there to his bed. I tell you what I'm going to do though. So I'm going to assign this to him. He's the closest now of any of the cots. That will at least save him from having to run across this room to that cot over there. All right. Now we have... This is interesting. Why is it telling me it's nighttime? It's not nighttime. Did I... Alarm off. Oh, it is night. Oh, I did. My goodness, that was really dumb of me. All right, no problem. It's a very, very minor mistake. I didn't clear out the rest of the schedule. We want them to be working here through all of this. Boom. Now it's a night shift. Okay. So you can see I'm pretty rusty at this game. Now they're going to work through the night. They're going to sleep in the early afternoon. And they will recognize... to do that here as soon as this little thing clicks over to the next part of this next square here. Next part of the cycle, I guess I would say. Now, let's go ahead and get rid of that as well. This is really the priority here, is the research. So please hurry up and get yourself... Now why... Oh, wait a minute. All three of them are sleeping. Why is that? Okay, thank you, Joshua the Doc. I appreciate that. Meteor showers happening up on the surface, really not impacting us down here, I don't believe. Now soon somebody will go ahead and harvest this mealwood, and we'll use this as an example. Okay, so once we've harvested the mealwood, it will produce something called lice loaf, which is a consumable. But eventually we're going to want to take these it'll create something called meal lice. So this is actually a really disgusting thing here. This is, let's see if, yeah, you can see them moving around. Those are actually critters. Those are actually little lices that are moving around on that plant, and that's what we're harvesting, and that's what we will be eating, are the actual meal lice themselves. But later on, we will be converting those meal lices into lice loaves. However, we want to have a cook first before we start doing that, and it's fine for them to go ahead and eat the meal lice for now. We won't want to do that long term, but in short term it's fine. Okay, so now we've got ourselves a ladder here that we can use to go up. Let's go ahead and, in anticipation of this eventually disintegrating, we want to be able to jump over to there. So, okay, our ladder will allow us to get up there and get ourselves a little bit more meal lice. And then over here, we want to go ahead and finish this off. And I'm going to go ahead and start setting this room up here. It's going to be a long time, few cycles at least, before we're able to get this room going. But we do want this to end up being our mess hall. And a mess hall is going to be where they eat, obviously. We'll have to get some mess tables set up in there. It has to be a minimum size of 12 and a maximum of 64. Actually, no. We're going to eventually want to make it a great hall, which is a maximum of 120. So we'll build it quite a bit bigger than what it looks like right now. Research complete. Okay, that's very good. Let's go ahead and start our next research assignment, which is going to be... Oops, I made a mistake. I think I clicked up there when I was talking about it, and I meant to finish the power regulation, but that's fine. We desperately need both of them. We slow this back down to normal. And in the meantime, since we did go ahead and do that one, we can start thinking about the plants that we want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want this to be 7 for a reason that will become apparent a little bit down the road. I guess I can go ahead and mention it now. What we're going to do is we're going to build light bulbs here, and we're going to use these to, or at least we want to have the option to use these to grow the, what are these things called? These bristle blossoms. And also we can do some planter boxes here, because when we look at lighting, there's lots of useful overlays in this game. The lighting overlay right here, we can see that this little, whatever you call this thing, it's called a printing pod. It actually generates a little bit of light. You can see sort of the light bulb right there. It generates enough light that we can actually grow some of our bristle blossoms here right next to it, which actually means we're going to demolish that ration box and replace it with planter boxes. And in the meantime, we want to go ahead and plant our blossom seeds here in our planter boxes, our blossom seeds in these planter boxes right here. We can copy the settings after we do the first one and just apply it to the next two. Now, because we're destroying this ration box just to keep things kind of nice and organized, we're going to want to have a replacement ration box. So we're going to put that, we're going to put it here for now. That's a temporary location, but it's fine for now because eventually we're going to want to build a refrigerator and keep our food right here next to the door in our mess hall. Okay, now we can build 2 more planter boxes over here, and we're going to copy our settings over. Oops, no, we have to wait for them to be built first. Then we'll copy our settings over. Now these blossom seeds, these bristle blossoms, they require both light and water in order to grow. We want to prioritize, actually, let's go ahead and set all of these to a priority of 6. 5 is the default priority, but as you can see here, you can prioritize things all the way from 1 through 9, and then that priority in combination with the individual dupes priorities determines the order in which they actually do activities. So we're going to go ahead and, for now, we're going to plant mealwood seeds right here. Plant that. And then we're going to copy the settings. We're going to go ahead and put mealwood seeds in this grouping here. And we'll go ahead and probably start putting, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back in here. I saw that we could click on tracking of different seed types. Where is it? There we go, blossom seeds. We want to track blossom seeds. So while we have extra blossom seeds, yeah, we got plenty of them. Okay, so we're going to put blossom seeds down here as well, but we're not going to do it until we have a light source. Oh, and then one more big thing that I forgot, which is really, really important. We need an oxygen supply. So let's put an oxygen supply here on multiple levels. For now, we will later on rearrange these and put them in better locations. But for now, this will suffice. And each one of them is going to require a wire. We probably don't need 3 this early in the game, but it's not going to hurt if the air pressure reaches maximum air pressure, then they will stop producing more oxygen on their own, so we don't have to worry about it being wasteful. These oxygen diffusers, they run on algae, which is why we're keeping track of the amount of algae that we have available. Once we run out of algae, we either have to find new sources of algae or more likely find alternative sources of oxygen, which there are plenty in this game. Okay, so we got ourselves a little bit of growing food. That's good. We got ourselves some research that's happening. That is good as well. We will end up replacing this battery. So at this point, I'm going to actually disable the use of this manual generator until we get a replacement battery up, because there's enough juice in this battery for now for him to finish his researching task. And that's literally right now the only thing we need the electricity for, until the oxygen diffusers are built. Okay, it's going to take me a while to get used to that noise happening, telling me that there's meteor showers up above. Let's just take a look here at some of our different overlays. We have oxygen. The light blue is good, so we got plenty of oxygen in our base, even though we had forgotten to build our oxygen diffusers before now. Let's take a look again at the heat. The heat, we're building just in the cooler area, so that's good. Our research complete, that's good. That means that we can go ahead and build a jumbo battery. We're going to build that for now. I want to build this closer to where it's hot, because it's not such a big deal to build batteries where it's already hot, because batteries will heat up and they will warm up the atmosphere around them. Now, this is interesting here. I see slime down here, and slime, sure enough, has slime lung, which is a disease. We do not want to be digging out these slime tiles for the time being, because we are not at all prepared to deal with disease. So what we will do instead is we will build this direction for now. And we're going to put let's just go ahead and build out. Actually, I think I did this wrong. Let me count again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to want one there, which then means 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where we want to build. Okay. We don't need to go quite as deep as I had previously dug. We're going to put our battery for now down here. In fact, we're going to build multiple batteries down here. We want to leave enough room for several things, which will make sense in a minute. So we're going to build 1, 2, 3 batteries over here. This is going to be a semi-permanent location, which is why I'm being a little bit more careful about where I am building those batteries. We don't want to have to build whole new ones because we placed these incorrectly. So, okay. Did I miscount again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 right there. I did. I miscounted. Way to go. Okay, that's all right. No problem. This tile, we want to cancel that build. This tile, we want to cancel that build. We want it to be right here. We want to go ahead and dig that out. We want the wire to be down here. Think like that. And then we want the jumbo batteries to be here, here, and here. And then we want a doorway here. And we want a storage bin here. We're going to put our coal in this storage bin. And then we're going to put our coal generator right here. I think it only requires 3 wide. I hope so. Meanwhile, we can go ahead and do some more researching here. Let's go ahead and go with the coal generator. That'll be nice for our people to have to be able to stop manually generating electricity. We can go ahead and now get rid of that battery because we're building replacement batteries down here. And of course these things have no juice, so there's no point in my doing any research as of right now. But he'll automatically start as soon as the electricity starts flowing again. We'll go ahead and copy the settings over to here to these guys. And we want to prioritize now all of this down here. So hurry up, guys. Chop, chop. The door itself was not a big priority, but it just kind of got called in with everything else. Okay, and we have a tile over here that we need to build. Okay, so by the time we finish this episode, we will have the beginnings of an efficiently running base, but just the very beginnings. There is way, way more going on in this game than just getting your basic power research and food and sleep and toiletry activities taken care of. Next step is probably going to be, and eating as well. The next step is going to be for us to start taking a look at the plumbing, probably. And then after that, maybe some decorations, because this is a fugly base right now. You can tell because if you look at the decor, you can see all this red. Yeah, all this red is bad. This impacts our dupes' morale. So we eventually want to replace the red with green, and we'll get there. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and make that row right there dug up as well. And let's go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Let's see if we can go ahead and get our batteries done before and get everything situated for a good clean start in the next episode. We can see already we're running very low on food. We're less than half of what we were a couple of cycles ago. However, we do have some plants growing. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get mealwood seeds in some of these because we have extra mealwood seeds and we don't have the light ready to start growing the blossom seeds yet. And food is going to become quite urgent for us. Now, there's other sources of food other than the mealwood, the meal lice, but that's probably our most effective source of food here in the very early going. And how are we doing down here? Hurry up, guys. Let's go even faster. Full speed. Well, I've managed to not kill my dupes through 5 cycles, so that's good. However, things are going to start to get much, much harder in Phase 2, which is what we're going to pick up with then in the next episode. But phase 1 here, I still consider getting the basics of a power supply set up to be part of phase 1 here. I'm going to go ahead and put consumable ore coal down here, but I'm not going to prioritize it because... Okay, this is... Oh, this reminds me. Okay, I've already forgotten one important thing. Pay the Digger earned a skill point, which is good. We want to give Pay the Digger hard digging skill. But I forgot how Ashcan, when he was first created, when he first appeared at our printing pod, he starts with a skill. All subsequent dupes after the first one start with a skill already. And he's actually already got super duper hard digging. Interesting. So we'll definitely make him a digger as well, but I don't want to completely rejigger everything, including Pay the Digger. So this is going to be ineffective for us for now. But what we do want to do is we want to give him advanced research so that he researches things faster. And since he's advanced research, let's give him this nice little hat to wear. And Pay the Digger, since she is going to have hard digging, we're going to go ahead and give her the hard hat that goes with that. And then we're going to watch them run up here to the printing pod and get all excited as they put their hats on. So there she comes. Let's slow it down so we can see this. She's going to celebrate here. Yay! She's putting on a hat. How exciting. And this is a humongous waste of time, but it's still a nice little immersive thing that they put into the game. Duplicate morale, we already know about that. And how we doing down here? Let's go ahead and reactivate this manual generator because we're going to have our first battery built here. Let's go ahead and enable building. By the time somebody starts using this, I think this will be built. And I'm wrong. Of course I'm wrong. Priority. Priority. There we go. Okay, he's finishing it up now. And good timing. Okay, so there now we have a battery to go ahead and accept the charge of whoever starts doing that. That'll start allowing us to then do some more research again. Our research is fine. We do want to continue with that. We're going to have to get a cook going soon. Those are all, however, going to be priorities for the next episode. I think let's just go ahead and speed this up and see if we can get all these batteries done, and we'll start out the next episode in the morning. Frankie the Farmer earned a skill point. Let's go ahead and give Frankie the Farmer his skill point. Let's go ahead and give him the nice farmer's hat. We will go ahead and end this episode by watching him put on his hat. I can't think of a better, more exciting way to end our inaugural episode of Oxygen Not Included in 2024. Okay, at this point, I can't imagine that there's anybody still watching, but if there actually is, then thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to add any comments that you might like. I do know how to play this game, I promise. I'm just rusty. But anyway, I'd still like to hear any comments, any feedback that anybody might have. And I don't know how long this series will go, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different for Throwback Thursday and see what was new in this game, which I did really enjoy quite a bit of in the early days. So thank you again for watching. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right here, and I will see you all in the next episode.